Hi guys, welcome to our next podcast today. I'm so excited to actually have a really good friend of mine that I've known for like 30 years, Aunty Julie Peers. Hey, Aunty Julie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to get you because I know that you're really busy with your new business. We'll talk about that in a second. And I know that you have treatments nearly every few times a week. So to get you here, you look absolutely gorgeous today in your colour.
Thank you.
And the lipstick that you're known for has that got a special name, that lipstick colour?
Love that red.
Oh, love that red.
Yeah, it's a Revlon and then all the other ones that copy it. But originally I fell in love with it from my mum over 40 years ago because Mum used to get the little tiny gifts from Avon. The little tiny, they were just wee ones like that. And I used to sneak them off her, and Mum used to say, you know, Koorie women wearing red lipstick like that, the mob will call you floozy. And then I said, I'm no floozy, and I put it on, and that was it. It was my colour, and I've never changed.
So as we're starting, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and just a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm a member of the Victorian Aboriginal Community. My mother brought me here. We started early life in Fitzroy in the boarding houses. My mum landed in Fitzroy with myself, and that's another story about Stolen Gen. And I am a Stolen Generation member. I'm a Ngemba woman. My people are from Biwarina, central New South Wales, and I'm from the Murray bloodline. But I have very close ties to the Wiradjuri mob through marriage and through mentoring all my life and my connections to them. And we believe that there was a bloodline, but we're still researching that. So I, for many years, thought I was Wiradjuri because I was born in Dubbo, and I used to claim it and solely believed it, until I finished my healing journey and found who I am, where I belong to, and actually who I am today, which is, a member of the Victorian Aboriginal community. I'm a mother of 2 adult sons, and I am a widow for the last 14 years. And I'm a former business owner who retired early through ill health. And then I thought, nah, I ain't finished yet. So on dialysis, I have started to do a business course and produced many products, and I'm about to go online, and as you know, I've loved you, AJ, for many, many years. I remember meeting you as a young man.
Yes.
Yeah, coming into my shop at the Queen Vic Market and just encouraging you to contact a few mobs down here. And I remember saying to you, you're always welcome in my shop, love. Always welcome. Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
Well, let the listeners know a little bit about your new business, because you used to have it was Koorie Affair, wasn't it?
No, it's called Koorie Connections.
Koorie Connections, yes.
Altair, and Altair meant the beginning. And an Aboriginal man from Cherbourg was down in Melbourne, and he gave that name to me as a gift. And he had spent many years in Bogger Road jail for a crime that he never committed, or he possibly did commit, but he was under the influence of alcohol. And yeah, so he gave me that name, and I was the first Koorie woman to establish her own shop at the Queen Victoria Market, and I broke the barriers. I approached the Wurundjeri group at the time and sought permission from them to trade on their land.
Yeah.
And it was around the time of the Commonwealth Games, and David Dryden came and played the didge for me.
Yeah.
And the late Uncle Alf Bamblett, he was really in movement with the economic development, and he was the Commissioner for Victoria at the time for ATSIC. And my personal mentor, Aunty Mary Atkinson.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the late Margaret Gardner came to the opening and received flowers from me for the elders of the Wurundjeri. And at the time, I believed I was Wiradjuri.
Yeah.
You know, and I claimed Wiradjuri. It didn't matter. I'd been part of the fabric of Victoria. And so I'd actually set the precedent for acknowledgement and welcome to country. And that was 30 years ago. Yeah. And I had that shop for 25 years.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when did that shop cease? When did you cease that? You said
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I did meet you in the shop, and I can tell you that was in 1992 that I met you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was 18 at the time.
Yeah. And that was a really tough time.
Yeah.
You know, politics wise, there was a lot going on then. And, you know, Victoria wasn't really quite settled about stolen gen people. We were still quite invisible. And so when we were at functions, you know, the mob used to say, oh, never mind that one there. They got a few problems. They're a bit, you know, yarra. Yeah. But they're okay. You know? And it's only now really fully matured that some of the movers and shakers have seen and recognised that quite a few of the stolen generation members, we have been part of the fabric of Victoria for many, many years. And we have contributed, people like yourself, AJ, who have made a significant contribution to the mob, you know, and it's been really difficult for us because we haven't been able to claim the land that we stand on. But the strength is we claim the community, and we are such, you know, crackers in the community. You know, some of us are, you know, kicking amazing goals like yourself with, you know, the mentoring program that you run, and how you got behind GMA, and, you know, many other great programs that, you know, you just quietly keep achieving. And then, you know, at the end of last year, or was it this year, all of a sudden you've got these 3 magnificent awards, you know, and I was crying because I thought, I know that lad. I know him. He got my heart, you know, and he's always been respectful to me, and he's always been there for me. And I really personally have to thank you for the time I was going through with the Vic government for my redress, and I needed some confirmation that I was part of the fabric of Victoria. And you were the first one that just offered that letter and it blew me over, you know, and people who I actually thought would be really staunch for me, I can count on one hand now who they are, and they came through, and you were on that one hand. And, you know, I really have to thank you for that. And Uncle Kevin Coombs, who's a beautiful elder in our community, he said to me once, I was very young, in my 20s, and he said, if you can count on your hand 5 people, one hand, who have been threads of your life, who have, been there for you, who would take your call in the middle of the night, he said, you've lived a really rich life. And he goes, I've got those type of people. And he goes, I hope I'm one of them for you. So I know that you're there for me, AJ, and I know Uncle Kev's there for me. Yeah, I'm sort of getting a bit emotional now.
Well, I'll put it in context for some of our listeners as well, that when I was 19, I did turn up to the health service, which was in Gertrude Street still. And as soon as I walked in and said that I'd like an appointment, they basically tossed me out and said that I didn't belong. And I actually went outside and burst into tears, and a lady put her arm around me, and it was Aunty Eva Jo. And I was telling her at the time that my background's Wiradjuri, and because you were identifying as Wiradjuri at the time, Aunty Eva Jo goes, I think I know the person that may be able to help. And I remember her driving me up to the shop, and I walked in, and I think I burst into tears. And you just closed the shop. You closed the door of the shop and gave me a big hug. And I think one of the first things you said is, don't worry about what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
We just need to look at you at the moment. And that was the day I met you. That was the day I met you right then. And that was, we won't tell the listeners how far long ago that was. But I was 19 then, and I've just turned 51. So
wow. Yeah, that's a journey and a half. Yeah. What I have always admired with you is that even though you have been undeniably hurt by community comments and by, what commonly being called now lateral violence, you, like one of our other, great leaders, and, I loved him for a very long time, was Archie Roach. Yeah. And Archie once said to me, Jules, never turn bitter. He goes, there's nothing worse than a bitter Koorie woman. And, I held on to that, and I have had outbursts of being bitter, but I quickly try and retract it. I feel shame myself for days on end, and I never want people to have that feeling that I've had, that where you feel like you're just on your own, and there's nobody there for you, because, I don't suffer that feeling anymore. And I just love how you come back and you can talk about a subject without actually naming the person. As we're back in the day, I would have said, oh, it's such and such, and they're, such a blockhead, But you have learnt the skill of being able to talk about a situation and show our young generation to stay away from toxicity and to stay away from, relationships that just drag you down. Yeah. I'm so proud of you in that, you don't spread techniques of how to, do the good old payback. Yeah. And I think the best payback is to just go on and live your life. Live it the best you can. And if anyone has you on the hit list, their mental hit list, when you're having a cracker of a day, that kills them. Absolutely wipes them out, And, that was one of the sayings from my old mum. Mum used to say, leave them alone. Say they're silly goats. Yeah. and she used to say, never mind, they'll fall on their own sword. Never mind. You just keep being, all right, comb your hair, wash your face, put your lipstick on. Go on now. And, that was the gentle way of Mum telling me, just pick yourself up, girl, because no one else is going to. But don't get caught up with that gammon, tit for tat stuff. Bowls you over, really does, and stops you from being your full potential. And, have a look at your full potential now, brother. I'm so proud. I am just so proud. How many 100 mental health workshops have you run?
748 as of yesterday.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And, mental health, that's another workshop I could come back and discuss with you. Yeah. My second born suffers with mental health, and I've had 9 years of navigating myself through that system. So, yeah, I'd really like to come back another time and talk to you.
As you said to me, I'm always welcome in your shop. You're always welcome on my podcast.
Definitely. Look out now. I'll be wanting my own show now.
The AJ and Julie show.
Look out. Yeah. I'm only just starting to get my confidence again.
Yes.
And what I've learned is that, you can get to really quite low ebbs in your life. But I love life. I do. I go on silly TikTok and I laugh my head off because I think to myself, was I that silly at 20? Was I that silly at 30? Oh, my God, yes, I was. I love getting on Instagram. I love Facebook. I love all our mob. And the reason I use all the multimedia is that because of my own chronic health, I can't go out. I can't mix with the mob so freely. My blood counts are down quite regularly, and I'm in line for whatever infection is heading around. So, I have to keep my distance from, people. I can't walk up and do the handshakes or hug people or kiss them or hug all the boros around, because whatever's there, whether it's a common cold or influenza or tummy bug, I'll catch it. Yeah. And so I just have to stay away. So I'm loving people from a distance.
You actually have dialysis 3 times a week, isn't it?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And when I first started dialysis, I was in a ward that was the worst of the cases. You go through the process. So I saw people with limb amputations. I saw people who were recovering from strokes and all sorts of chronic illnesses. And I thought, oh, my God, this is what my life is going to be. And I was extremely ill. And in that first week, I was suicidal. And I had suicidal thoughts. And I could not see, the way of coming back. And so the Austin hospital nurses pleaded with me after 5 hours of dialysis each time, Julie, please come back the next session. Just one more session. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, all right, as long as I get the toasted ham, cheese and tomato sandwich, as someone gets me a cappuccino, I'll come back. So, because in hospital, you're that sick, you can't go downstairs and get a cappuccino when you feel like it. You're bound to your bed. And, it was really hard for my sons to come in all the time. So the nurses would get me a toasty and a cappuccino, and they'd spoil me up. They really did. And so I just come back for just one more session. So 3 months passed, and I started to feel stronger.
Yeah.
And once I started to feel stronger, I just thought, bugger this, I don't want to push up daisies. You know, I want to be with my sons.
Yeah.
And I give it all I got. I changed my diet. I changed everything, sleeping, you name it. And I've been waiting over 1,000 days now for my transplant. And I was just notified last week that my name has gone into what they call the mix.
Yeah.
So the phone call could be any day now, which will be a liver and a kidney transplant.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, that's a big call to wait for, isn't it?
18 to 15 hours surgery.
Yeah.
And all I can think about is who's going to be there for my sons.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to make them a dinner? Who's going to hold them? Who's going to tell them it's okay? You know, your mum's a fighter, I'm going to get through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got some really close friends, Merrin Abner Daly. She's going to fly down from Queensland. I've got my social worker who became my friend from the Austin of 18 years, Kath Bradley.
Yeah.
I'll have my 2 sons there, and of course Lionel Bamblett and Helen Bamblett Kennedy, they'll be there for me. And Suzanne Nelson.
Yes.
I'll be yours. Yeah. She'll be busting in to tell them that she's my sister, you know. So I've got some really good friends and really good extended family. I'm not scared, but I'm anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, beg your pardon.
You're a big advocate on organ donation as well. And you've just recently recorded a video that's going out to all the ACHOs, isn't it?
Yes. I worked with, free of charge, mind you, I did not charge these fellas. I worked with Little Rocket, who is an Aboriginal-owned marketing company based in Collingwood, John Burgess. And he approached me knowing that I was a survivor of an organ transplant. I had one 18 years ago. And he asked me if I would do my story. And I was quite anxious about it. And then I thought, yeah, I can tell people about how my Nana came to me and how she held my hand in the darkest times. And there was this spiritual connection of flying over my own country. How Trish Williams was, you know, a really great support friend then. There were quite a number of Koorie people who were with me. I was 6 months in hospital, straight. My 2 sons were only in grade 5 and grade 6. And my late husband travelled every day for 6 months from the hospital. He had one day off and I paid out on it. And the temperature was 42 and I was saying, nah. But, you know, he was there for me. Now, this gift has enabled me to be a mum, has enabled me to just live my life the best I can and give back to our community.
Yeah.
It's nice. I've got my my home help.
That's all right.
Carol.
Hi,
Nice
Hi.
to meet you.
And Carol supports me 3 times a week and just helps me run my home, which is a really great gift, you know.
It is. So you've got a new business you've started. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Wow. Where do I start? while I was on dialysis, I started feeling sorry for myself. And as you know, feeling sorry for yourself does no good. You know, pour me another drink. And I thought, no, you know, I've got a brain and I don't want to lay down and go to sleep for 5 hours. So I got myself online and started a course in small business on e-commerce, how to build them, how to do them. And I started researching how to produce products overseas.
Yeah.
So here we are. Just got to show one up. I'll show one off. Yeah, this one here.
Oh, the bag.
Yeah. So what I started to do was to learn how to manufacture overseas.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot to learn. And I started buying samples with the Koorie flag. And so now I have a garage full of products. And my dream is to build a foundation, a Stolen Generation Foundation, with a social social enterprise.
Yeah.
And from that, I want to be able to create a legacy for my sons, Daniel and Luke, and produce products. And from this social enterprise, I will give back to the community.
Yeah.
You know, I will give back to both Koorie men and women who want to go out and start a small business. You know, I've been really learning how to do side hustles. Yeah. And I've always been a side hustler and an entrepreneur, and, you know, how to turn 100 into 500. And I'll be creating some workshops around that. And, you know, I've been working with Narrm Apna daily for the last 2 years now as her business manager and in the arts area. Now, that hasn't been a financial arrangement. It's just been I've had lots of admin skills and business skills that I've been able to support her. And she has supported me in my Stolen Generation journey. So we have created a business called Apna and Murray Creations, which is Narrm's grandmother, Apna, and my grandmother, Murray. And this enterprise will honour our grandmothers. And so we've created T-shirts, dresses, all sorts of products. So we're at the final stage of putting the e-commerce businesses online.
Yeah.
And it's a tough job.
Yeah. Now, I've seen some of the previews that you've kind of let slip onto social media every now and then of the designs and the thing. They're absolutely amazing. They're so beautiful and colourful, and I can't wait to see this go live very soon.
Yeah, we're really excited. You know, we're really excited because at first we were very unsure about ourselves. And when we started to post things, you know, people were saying nasty things like, oh, yeah, you made that overseas. Well, guess what? If you undress yourself now, tell me how many clothes you've got on that made in Australia.
Yeah.
You know, everything from your undies, your socks, your jeans, your jacket. So I thought, I'm not going to let this toxicity wear me down. No. I'm not going to let the knockers wear me out. And until I can find Australian manufacturers who can produce my products fairly, ethically, and, you know, at a good price, I'm going to go overseas.
Yeah.
And researching overseas has taken me 18 months to find out human rights.
Yeah.
And the ethical standards compliance of these companies. And that's been the toughest challenge for me. But hey, I'm getting there. You know, I'm facing it, and I'm really happy about how I can let's say if my transplant doesn't go well, I want my foundation, my friends to be able to pick up all my threads, put my foundation together and honour my sons and my contribution to our community. I have never knocked anyone back who has asked me for help. So, you know, this enterprise, both Koorie Connections, which would be my enterprise with the Koorie flag products, and then Apna and Murray will honour my grandmother, my mother, my great granny, and all the way back.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm trying to do it ethically. Yeah.
Are you still receiving those negative comments from people, or are they backed off?
Yeah. All the time. Yeah, all the time. But you know what? I'm sort of a bit blank to racist comments now. I remember as a child, I was about 9 or 10. I was going to school, and we were living in the western suburbs, and a friend of mine, her family had a swimming pool. And of course, every kid wanted to go to a house with a swimming pool. And, you know, she was my bestie, and she was blonde hair, blue eyes, ponytails. And, you know, we were best of friends, holding hands. And I would go to her home, and her mum would welcome everyone in and welcome me in. But I was the first one ushered to the bathroom to wash my hands. And then I had to have a bath. And once I had the bath, I was allowed to put my bathers on and go in the pool. Okay. And I never realised what was happening. I just thought she was making me feel special. But, you know, later in life, I realised that she didn't want a dirty, grubby Aboriginal child in her swimming pool. So I think ignorance helped me a lot in the earlier days, and I never really realised that, you know, when I'd go with my mum to the general store, that mum was the last one to be served. Yeah. And that mum had to say please and thank you 10 times to get her groceries, you know. So I grew up a bit thick-skinned, and racism for me, I felt it when I joined the public service. Yeah. Joined the public service in 83, and I definitely felt racism then. Yeah. You know, and through that, I've learnt how to build up my own self-belief, and so now the best, you know, way to deal with this mob is just delete them. They can't stand it. You block them. Yeah. And you don't have any conversation with them. You don't even answer back the toxicity that they've said. Yeah. You know, if you can't block that message they sent and other people see it, I've learnt to block them. And that's it. See you later, gone. And it doesn't matter if you create yourself 10 times, I'll block you 10 times. Yeah. And you won't get a word from me. I nearly fell into it in the beginning of answering back the bloody racist comments and even the lateral violence from our community. Oh, yeah, they're made in China, you know, or they're made in the Philippines. What sweatshop did you use? And I thought, you know, goodness me, has this all you got to do is to sit back and criticise other Aboriginal women who are trying to have a go, you know, because I'm the only one that will provide for my sons. Yeah. And within my family, I'm the only one that gives back to our community.
Yeah.
Besides my sons. So, you know, I just don't let them get into my conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you a question. That do you think racism has changed over time, or do you think it's still?
I think it's got a lot more sophisticated. And I think that the raw, blunt racism comes out when Aussies are standing at the football.
Yeah.
They're cutting loose. And when they're cutting loose, the true colours come out. You know, when they call our players all sorts of racial, you know, slurs. It's the worst of Aussie characters coming out. But, you know, I've seen the changes through Reconciliation Australia and what things they have done. And I'm really surprised and encouraged that primary schools do acknowledgement. And, you know, I never thought that schools in New South Wales, Koorie kids would be singing in language.
Yeah.
You know, it's just deadly. And down in Victoria, if these big guns want a partnership with the Aboriginal community, they have to write their business plans that include us.
Yeah.
So I challenge them all the time on, you know, you can write a fancy document, you know, and give lip service, but who's got a job? You know, and I don't want to hear about a traineeship. Who's got permanent employment with you? Yeah. You know, and I work on that scenario of change, give one Koorie a job. That would change one family. Okay. And one family can buy a car, can buy that station wagon to put the kids and the dog and the house with the picket fence, and, of course, the Nike runners for the kids. So, to me, it's one family at a time and one job at a time. And, it's all about, you know, putting us on a level playing field. And I'm seeing that in quite a few areas. Yeah.
How do you define reconciliation?
Oh, gee, that's a hard one.
I didn't say the questions were going to be easy, did I?
Yeah, well, for me, it's about being invited to the table.
Yeah.
And also, if I'm invited to the table, is it lip service, or are you genuinely interested in my contribution through that committee? And if I don't see any changes within the first month, I decline, because these departments have had enough time to change internally, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to hold hands, you know, and sing Kumbaya and make us all feel good, you know. I've done the hard yards. I've been in meetings where I was the only Aboriginal woman confronted with 20 other participants, all non-Indigenous, me trying to raise a voice for Aboriginal people. So I've done those days. And unless I get invited to the table as an equal participant, I don't accept the invitation now.
You talked about leadership a few times. What do you see are the qualities of a good leader?
Oh, for me, it's about being humble. It's about giving their staff and their organisation the best possibility to achieve. Yeah. I've seen some really quiet achievers, and I'll just give one example, which is the Koorie Heritage Trust. Back in the day when Uncle Jim Berg initially created the trust with a number of other people, there are people today who owe their careers to him. He provided opportunities for university participation. One now is at the head of Bunjalaka. One is a head magistrate, and there's many other careers. And that was because Uncle Jim believed in them. He got them through university, and he paved the way where they didn't stay at the trust, but he created pathways for them because he knew the benefits for our mob, Victoria's statewide. And to me, that was selfless. You know, he didn't try to hold on to his staff. He, you know, he's a straight shooter. I've loved him all my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, the elders in leadership I've found are very humble, you know, the ones that don't go for recognition but just keep on turning up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What issues do you think young people face, young Aboriginal people face today?
Oh,
The same.
well, there's no doubt that they do face racism.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that we need to help them build their armour, and courses like yours and mentorships like yours are ways that we engage with our youth to enable them to make the choices, because the hard work's been done in getting access to education. Now it's about getting them through the education.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I started in government back in 87, I did a research paper, and I think there was less than a dozen Aboriginal people had been to Melbourne University when we did the count in, you know, 1987. Now it's countless.
Yeah.
You know, we've got doctors, we've got professors, we've got associate professors, we've got social workers, we've got masters, we've got Bachelor of Art, you name it, we've got it now. So it's not a dream anymore. But the young ones coming through school, you know, I want to encourage them to, you know, technology is going to be the key to the next, you know, 20 years. And you've got to get on top of that. You've got to be able to master that to help your family, your community and your organisation, because jobs in computers and how best to help our organisations are going to be the go.
What advice would you give a young person who's struggling with their cultural identity?
Join a Koorie footy club. It gets knocked out of you, or join the netball team. Find your way to sports.
Yeah.
And if you can't join sports, find your way to a Koorie youth social club, you know, because our mob know what it's like when you're the odd one out. You know, they might even ostracise you and think you're a bit strange. But after the second week, they call you in and go, oh, he's the funny one with those boots on. And next thing, you become such an intricate part of who that group is. They don't let go of you. You know, they ring up, why didn't you come to bowling on Friday night? Where are you? What are you doing? And it's about believing that you're worthy to join that footy club, to join that basketball club, netball club. You know, sports is a great activity. Yeah. And one of my late brothers, I remember seeing him from Ballarat. He spent the last part of his life in the Ballarat Children's Home. He had the gift of football. I used to go up and watch him, and all the racist slurs that came out, you know, after him. You know, back in the day, I used to jump the fence, and I was always fist to fist. I was in trouble, you know. And he used to say to me, Jules, don't jump the fence because sports is an equaliser, you know. And I thought, wow, you sure? I want to go and slap that one up. You know? And he'd say, no. Actually, that bloke's a mate of mine. Yeah. And so yeah, join sports and get in touch with, there's so much happening with the land management teams now here in Victoria. Bendigo is brilliant, Dajarong and Gippsland, and, it's happening all over the state because our elders 30 years ago fought for you to get to where we are now. And there's many opportunities. It's not like 30 years ago, there's nothing to do on a Saturday. There is plenty to do on a Saturday. We just got to find you where you are, who you live next to, and then put you in contact with the local mob and, join community activities. Yeah.
What's your take on the voice at the Parliament?
Oh my goodness, you didn't, you're going to owe me a box of Rose's chocolates there.
I will get
some flowers. Some flowers, I'm going to hit you up now, my boy. Yeah, I love Rose's chocolates and I love flowers. Okay, the voice. 30 years ago, that was a dream. That was a dream that Aboriginal people were actually going to be acknowledged by government. Now we're acknowledged by government. Now the next step is that this voice can be the first step in there. I really believe that. And, like that old saying, once you open the door and the mob's there, you let one in, the rest will follow and we will be heard, we will be seen. And it doesn't matter if it takes another 20 years, but my vision is that we will have a structure similar to New Zealand, where we will have an elected representative for us in Parliament as an independent, who will put the Koorie Aboriginal Australia-wide voice forward. Yeah. It's just that, I believe our organisations are still managing self-management, and they have come, they've done that circle where many organisations have gone through being corrupt, being taken for, funding go missing, programs have been, rejected. We've done all that cycle, we've learned from it, and we have come back bigger, better and stronger. Now the next cycle is we're getting our foot in the door with Parliament. And in Victoria, the first steps of the treaty have occurred. Yeah. And, I received my apology by the Andrews government, and it was a written scroll. And I'm only sorry that my mum didn't get to receive hers, or my brother or my sister. But you know what? Every day when I look at this apology, their spirit is with me. Yeah. And,
what did that mean when you got that?
It's over. It's finally over. All those deep, dark secrets on my soul and my spirit, I'm free. Because somewhere, someone in government finally recognised all those terrible things that happened. And I don't have to be validated anymore. The validation was the key for me. And I feel really deadly now. I've connected home to my country, Biwarina. I connected to my elder, who I lost. She was 89, and but she gave me so much cultural strength in believing who I was. And I was the only one out of the Murray line that went to go and find her, which was amazing. So I've got all these amazing cousins everywhere, up Moree, hay, you name it. And I don't feel shame anymore. I don't have that when my head tilts in shame anymore. Matter of fact, I've got a bit of that strut,
Yeah.
It's a deadly feeling. It's a deadly feeling. But I never forget all the pain that I've been through, humiliation and loss of opportunity.
Yeah. What would you like to see if I could give you a magic wand and zillions and zillions of dollars? What would be the one thing in Aboriginal affairs you want to change or fix?
Oh, my goodness. I would really love for these economic development funds to be in one central pot.
Yeah.
And then from there, create a trust that you can't withdraw from that one budget, and create economic wealth through our own enterprises. And so that we, in 30 years' time, we will be funding education, we will be funding Aboriginal people to buy their own homes, and we will be creating economic independence ourselves. Yeah. As far as waving the magic wand, you know what? Nepotism is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Because it's simply part of our nature.
Yeah.
And we just have to make, a few adjustments, a few, twinges to compliance. But, that's growing out now, because people are getting educated and people are aware of how to research. If someone says, oh, I did this and I did that, how many Google masters have we got now? You sit and have a talk to an auntie, it doesn't matter where they are, and you say to them, oh, such and such said such and such. You better be very careful, because those old aunties know how to use Google now.
Yeah.
And they research.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, no, I tell you now, I was there, but this is what they done. Yeah. And so technology's brought us into a new era.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying earlier on that, our young people, get a PhD in IT. I don't know, a master's, a bachelor, but make sure that you have the strongest technical skills for yourself and for our communities, because that will be our biggest battle in the future, is IT and how do we survive.
I'm just watching the time, but I do have like a final question to ask you, and that is, what would you want our listeners today to walk away with?
I hope encouragement. I'm a stolen generation woman. I was raised through institutions and was on my own from the age of 14. But I never, ever gave up. I've had travelled lots of paths that I was embarrassed and ashamed to say. But you know what? I came back. I got myself educated, perhaps not as well educated as yourself, AJ. And, mine is probably from the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
I read and read and read. And I have passion for our mob. And I've had integrity drilled into me as a part of my character. Because if you grew up in Collingwood, Fitzroy, you had to know how to take the knocks, but you also, had the warm embraces. So, I've faced near death through my illnesses, and I've never given up. I've felt suicidal, but I've never, entered into that. So I just want to say to our men and our women, don't give up. Don't give up on yourself or your family, or, you know, who you're with, because you can always rewrite today and tomorrow. You can't rewrite history. You know, that's one true, you know, true as God. You can't, there's no way, but you can change today. And we don't know what tomorrow's going to be. But for today, you can say, I'm going to have a cracker of a day. You know, I'm going to give it my best shot. And it doesn't matter if I've got pink and blue socks on, I'm heading out because I feel deadly, you know. And I just encourage people to look at positivity rather than negativity. And if you've got a chance to straighten someone's crown, you know, you've got a chance to have a 10-minute conversation with someone who normally you wouldn't speak to, you wouldn't rub shoulders with, but you could make a difference to their life, go for it. You know, because you could change someone's life. And, you know, it's all about the hard work our elders have done for us to get to this point. Now it's up to us who are around now to make it for the next 20 years what our future generation can hold on to.
I want to say thank you for coming to yarn with me today, but I also do want to invite you back for each season that I'm doing. One episode of every season to continue our yarns.
Yeah.
I do want to actually just say thank you for hanging with us. And guys, I'll have some details of Aunty Julie's new business at the bottom of the YouTube, so you'll be able to actually link into her business and some of those fantastic products.
Yeah, let's see if we can try and market the slides, eh?
Yeah.
They're deadly, and I'm looking at trying to get the price down. And as soon as the next shipment comes in, that price is going down. But I was on another, not YouTube, because I don't know much about that one, but I was on TikTok and I received 12,000 views. And I thought, wow, the picture's getting around. So if I can get the cost of these down, I'm going to do that. You know, I want it so the mob can wear colours and it doesn't cost you a fortune. And, you know, you can walk around deadly in your colours from Aunty Julie.
Cool. Thanks, Aunty Julie. I love you so much, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys, and join me for the next podcast. Thank you.